Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Teleislas News, the most important news of the day. We begin our broadcast with the news from the municipality of Old Providence. Teleislas News managed to learn that 446 rectangular packages of cocaine and drug chloride were found inside an aircraft yesterday morning at the airport El Embrujo in Old Providence. The shipment would be valued in an amount of 5,000 million pesos. In addition, inside the 28 boxes that also contained mass, 102,750,000 pesos in cash were found. In addition to the seizure of the hallucinant, the money, the authorities captured two men of 31 and 53 years of age, both of Colombian nationality. It should be noted that the private aircraft type Beechcraft plane N722KR that brought the shipment came from the airport Guaymaral in Chia, Bogota, and landed in the municipality at approximately 9:13 on Sunday morning. Teleislas News will be developing this information respectively in our central broadcast. Coastguard units and tour operators of Hines Key rescued a tourist who suffered an accident in this place. The situation generated chaos in the islands.
An emergency occurred a few minutes ago in Rose Key, where a tourist had to be transferred to the island of San Andres after he had medical complications due to an accident in the waters of the key. The 74-year-old man was rescued by local tour operators and Coast Guard units.
The
74-year-old gentleman was with his family and was going from Rose to Haines Key. He had no strength. The rope came loose and he went deep and began to swallow water. The people were screaming. Those who were next to him could not help him. We were able to help him, so we took him to Haines Key. We called the Coast Guard unit to make the transfer to San Andres to take him to the hospital or to Resale clinic.
The National Navy, through the Coast Guard unit, indicated to this news agency that they will issue a statement on the fact presented in Hines Key in the afternoon of today. Teleislas News will be attentive to the state of health of the 74-year-old citizen and the development of this news event.
And COVID cases continue to increase on the island, so we take a look at the most significant figures in the department.
Good evening, Lisa, and all the TV viewers. I say hello from here from the town of the island because we want to announce that this end of week, more cases of COVID-19 was presented in our department. Total, it was 142 active cases that reported this end of week. We make a balance of how the active cases and how the coronavirus is going on right now in our department in the last 5 months. This is all the information. Since the beginning of 2021, a new peak of the coronavirus pandemic reached the department. In only 5 months, more than 2,900 cases have been reported. Likewise, there has been a considerable increase in the number of people who have died from the new virus. Previously, there was an average of 1 death per week, while since the beginning of this peak, there has been an average of 5 to 6 deaths due to the virus. Now, taking into consideration the current situation in the department and following data from the last report issued by the Departmental Health Secretariat as of May 23rd, there are currently 298 active cases of COVID in the islands. 7 of these are in the municipality of Old Providence, and a total of 4,646 people have been recovered. To date, there have also been 77 cases of deaths. The most affected neighborhoods are Avenida 20 de Julio with 20 cases, Guinea Hen with 19, Cerrive with 15, San Luis with 14, and there is no information on 55 cases. Now we're going to make a summary of the vaccination on the islands. Remember that currently the department is in the process of scheduling the second stage of vaccination, which are people between 60 to 69 years. Also awaiting the formal announcement for the scheduling of the third stage. To date, 13,404 people have been immunized throughout the archipelago. The invitation is to all to comply all the biosecurity controls and also the measures that the government imposed in our department to reduce the contagion of COVID-19. Continue, Lisa, in studio.
Thank you, Alice. And this morning, the installation of a table for the previous consultation of the draft bill of the Resale statute took place.
This consultation is done in the framework of the Resale table as provided by Decree 1211 of 2018 year and will last 2 weeks.
There are many expectations that we have, even though we've been coming a long way.
since we started out in the construction of the Resale statute. The Resale statute basically is an instrument of protection and preservation and development of the Resale community in a whole. And for this, we have many aspects, such as one of the first things we thought about is to have a seat in the Congress.
The president of the Resale Authority talks about the many issues that are integrated into this draft document of the Resale statute.
We're moving up to the where the land tax, where we have our houses. We would not have to pay tax once this law is sanctioned and go through. Other areas of this is what has to do with our competence. The court already recognizes us as a people, have a right of a territory, and also it gives us some right, our competences. So we are going to have what we call self-government. We're going to have, if possible, we work on the area of having our like bush police, rural police for the Resale community to take care of our issues and our situations. And also we have another area of competence where we will be able to build a Resale fund. And with the Resale fund, it's for a productive project for the development of the Resale community. Along with that, we also are going to create a Resale fund, or part of the Resale fund, there will be a chapter for scholarship.
It is expected that in these 2 weeks, this document will be presented on July 20 during the installation of the new legislative newspaper in the Congress of the Republic.
And deputies were pleased by the positive response of the Administrative Contention Court in popular action brought by 5 departmental assembly deputies on the adaptation and construction of shelters.
In the other number 0074, the Contentious Administrative Court responds favorable to the popular action issued by the deputies Marcela Shogrin, Carlos Carvajal, Marjit Bandera, Ivan Garcia Jimenez, and Abdul Hendaus, where the protection of the collective rights and interests to public safety and health and prevention of technically foreseeable disaster is sought. The action requests the Presidency of the Republic and the Unit for Risk and Disaster Management and the Departmental Administration to build and adapt shelters that have the necessary measures and requirements to protect the population in case of new phenomena.
We did put in this popular action to protect the rights of the people them, to preserve them life when we pass of the hurricanes, because we know that we have a high vulnerability in the island. We have people that don't have the infrastructure to, nor even the capacity if we can even or the resources we can pass one night like those that they have passed in Providence.
Pleased with the court's response were the petitioners.
Then they send the national government through the Unidad de Gestión de Riesgos and through the alcaldía also to find some place with all the quality and all the technical requirements to can give the people them that possibility to pass this moment of hurricane in the best way they can.
In the court order, the undertakers to management and development all activities necessary to the adaptation of the place to serve as a temporary shelter to people who currently do not have safe housing, while the plan for the reconstruction of Old Providence is completed in its entirety. Likewise, a place to shelter animals almost be developed within 19 days. It also orders the construction of the definitive shelters on the island of Old Providence, which complies with all the corresponding technical requirements. For this purpose, the entities will have a period of 2 months for the notification of this ruling, for its delivery of a chronogram and plan for the reconstruction of the work to Old Providence.
And in other news, joining the effort for the reconstruction of Old Providence, the ship Bahia Solano arrived with heavy machinery to support our brothers.
The ship ARC Bahia Solano arrived yesterday coming from Cartagena. The commander of the ship explained its objective.
Yesterday, 2 vessels of the National Navy arrived in Old Providence from Cartagena. One of them is the ARC Bahia Solano, which is a logistic vessel for the transport of materials and machinery, and it was accompanied by the RAC Caribe. The ship joins the effort we are making in Old Providence for the construction of new houses and the recovery of the houses that were affected by the hurricane.
It is hoped that with the arrival of the new diesel, they will be able to make even more progress in supporting the needs of those affected by the hurricanes in view of the new hurricane season that is approaching.
And in a joint work between the Secretariat of Public Services and the Trust Buster entity, dissemination of information meetings are carried out in the sectors of the island around collection routes of usable and non-usable waste for the urban solid waste plant that has already begun in operation.
The main idea of these informational meetings with the community is to inform about the collection routes and the proper separation of waste. This was stated by the Secretary of Public Services and Environment, Maria Paula Vélez.
As everyone knows, the urban solid waste plant receives a certain amount of waste, and there is some waste that cannot be used by the plant. So the company has established collection routes for usable and non-usable waste. The idea is that the community can know these routes, and the day that the trucks go to the collection of usable routes, they can identify what they are, and when is the route of the non-usable ones, they can also take those out.
On the Trash Booster webpage, the island population can find information about these days and routes of collection. It is also important to mention that the non-usable waste are porcelain, glass, scrap metal, and everything we handle as special lines such as appliances and the whole technological issue.
Cuídate y cuida a los demás en la vía. En la vía abraza la vida. No tomes mientras manejes. Ministerio de Transporte, Agencia Nacional de Seguridad Vial. And now let's get to know other facts that are making news in our brief news sections of today.
Religious leaders from different congregations held this weekend a caravan of prayer for the archipelago, which started from the Simon Bolivar Park and toured the entire coastline of the island, stopping at places like the Blowing Hole, St. Louis, and the Departmental Hospital, where a prayer for the sick was held. The activity ended at the Coral Palace Square, where a prayer for peace and forgiveness in the islands was raised. As part of the International Day of Biodiversity, the Coralina Environmental Corporation conducted a guided tour of the Old Point Regional Park with the environmental youth group Friends of Nature of the National Police Protection Group, where the young people were taught the importance of this ecosystem. Also, on the island of Old Providence, a walk through the Maracaibo sector with the youth group Ambientalistas en Acción was developed. Uniformed members of the Gaula of the National Police carried out a prevention and awareness campaign at the Gustavo Rojas Pinilla International Airport, aimed at residents and tourists, informing them of the different types of extortion, self-protection measures, and the line 165. With these actions, the National Police seek to raise awareness among citizens to generate a culture of healthy coexistence and self-protection and avoid crimes that affect citizen security.